Hello friends, bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Calo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pulse on social media.
Hi everyone, on today's episode, Jen explains St. Patrick.
Welcome to the show, grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share, you'll never feel alone.
Alright, this is a fun episode. As you can see, we're all festive. We have the green moon, we have the green backlights, and we have our O'Douls.
Yes.
So we thought that would be perfect. So cheers.
Cheers to St. Patrick.
To St. Patrick. We'll be sipping on these. Before we get started though, O'Douls obviously because the Irish kind of last name, but also if you haven't yet and you're part of the Patreon or you want to see a little behind the scenes, we actually recorded an Unhinged episode probably over a year ago now, where in this very spot we tried all the alcoholic drinks that we had when we were in college. It's definitely worth a watch. It has nothing to do with the occult or anything like that. It's us basically getting kind of plastered up here. So when we said we were going to have drinks again, we're like, well, we could do non-alcoholic this time, and it's perfect for the O'Douls. But if you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend you check it out. You can have access to those for as little as $4 a month, or if you want to be part of the Kythera Club, you can join for as little as $7. And another plug, really quick, since we're kind of on that brand, we have the Kythera Loyalty Club. So if you are interested in discounts with local vendors or some online vendors, make sure to join. And that one is as little as $7 a month. The reason I bring that up is because there's two connections to St. Patrick's with two of our vendors. We have Jenna, who does the sound baths, and she does like aesthetic. Is it aesthetic?
She's an eclectic cosmetologist.
Cosmetologist.
Nails, waxes, steams, facials, I already said nails, everything. Yes, she does all the beauty shit.
Yes, and if you haven't watched her episode, I highly recommend it. Well, her birthday is on St. Patrick's Day, and she loves it, and she turns up, and she's a wonderful person. She is part of our Kythera Club, both as a participant, but also as a vendor. So check her out, join, and make sure you get that discount. Another person from our vendors is Jamie from Jamie's Reading Rainbow. She does really cool aura readings. And right before this episode, we were walking to our studio and we ran into her. We told her we were recording our St. Patrick's Day episode. And she let us know that she found out she's Irish. Mm-hmm. And she looked very Irish today. She had like the pigtails and the ribbons, and she was wearing all green. So yeah, go ahead and check her out if you haven't seen her. And again, she's part of our vendors, so you can get a nice little discount.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So St. Patrick, the man, the myth, the legend. So most people think of St. Patrick's Day and they think of green beer and getting plastered and the 4-leaf clover and stuff, but that's not actually what St. Patrick was all about.
It's not?
Yeah.
I don't want to do the rest of the episode.
I know. How did this become a drinking holiday with a mascot? How did we get here almost 1,500 years later?
Yes, do tell.
Interestingly enough, a lot of people don't know this. He wasn't Irish by birth. Rome controlled a lot of what we know as like Britain, Wales, Scotland. It was all Roman controlled back in the day. So a lot of different territories claim him. People say he was British or he was Scottish or he was Welsh. We don't really know.
So how did he land with the Irish?
Yeah, that's his whole mythos, but let's give a brief overview. So he was born probably in the late 4th century. We don't have an actual birthday for him, but he was born around the year 386 AD, and then he died on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. That's why we celebrate it in 461 AD. So a long time ago. His dad, his father, was a deacon, a senator, and a tax collector, and his grandfather was a priest.
That sounds like a joke waiting to happen. Like what happens when
Yes.
those people walk into a bar.
But, Patrick wasn't really interested in any of that as a youth. He didn't want to go into the family business. Also, when we say Christian, we mean Catholic, because the Martin Luther Protestant split didn't happen until almost 1,000 years after St. Patrick.
So at that time, the only established, like, organized religion was Catholicism?
In terms of Christianity, yes.
Interesting. Okay, so I guess this is a little side tangent. If you don't know, that's fine. But we have Christ, we have their followers, and that's where Christianity is born. But then Christ was Jewish, right?
Yeah, it's very bizarre. And like back in the day, yes, because don't people also, I'm forgetting like I remember a lot of Old Testament. I don't remember a lot of New Testament, but anyway.
Well, the Romans, yeah, because the Romans had the Catholic Church, so that makes sense. Okay.
Anyway, embarrassing. I don't remember.
No,
this,
not embarrassing at all.
Yeah.
These are non-alcoholics. I just want to point that out.
But anyway, where was I?
The Catholic Church was the Christian church.
Yes. So, that's why his dad was like a tax collector, a senator, and like a religious person, because like religion was the government was religion. So that's why that happened. But yeah, he was like, I don't really want to do this. Like, this is boring. And his birth name, some people believe it's Maywin Sukat, but he became Patrick when he became religious and born again, and he chose another name, which a lot of religious leaders do.
That's a thing.
Yeah. But at 16, he was kidnapped by Irish pirates.
Oh my gosh.
To be a slave for, ever really, but he escaped eventually. This was a common practice back then for Irish pirates to go to sort of the mainland Britain area, kidnap people, and then bring them back to Ireland and force them to work. So he was enslaved. He was forced to work as a shepherd, isolated in brutal conditions. And this is when he turned to prayer, because he was like, I don't really know what else to do in these horrible conditions. And as a shepherd, you're really like isolated with your
I'm
flock.
guessing you're all by yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And those are like the Highland Hills of like Scotland, so I'm sure there was a lot of rain and wind, and
he was in Ireland.
Oh, sorry, I meant Ireland. Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, don't say that. You're gonna piss people off.
I know.
But he turned to prayer, and this is very interesting because a lot of incarcerated people also go through some sort of like religious moments in order to gain a sense of like hope and control. So that's
and I think that's valid. I think
totally.
When you have quote unquote no hope or nothing to turn to, at that point, I think whatever you can do to survive or make yourself as like mentally stable as possible, I don't think that's a bad road to go down.
Absolutely. And during these long 6 years, he prayed all day, every day, all the time. And eventually he got sort of like a voice or a prophetic dream that told him like, we're on your side, you're protected, you need to leave, and you need to find a boat, and that boat will take you back home. So on that day, he decided to leave. Reportedly, or estimated, probably wandered about like 200 miles before he could find like a dock.
Yeah.
He finally made it, and he begged and he pleaded. He was like, please let me get on this boat. I need to go back home. They rejected him. They said, no way. And he turned around, and according to this report in his diary, he prayed and said, God, please like have them change their minds. And then eventually they changed their minds and said, all right, get on.
All aboard.
Yeah. And then he was able to make it back to home, the mainland. So yeah, that's how he escaped. And after that, he realized like, wow, I am really uneducated. I don't really know much about God. I didn't pay attention as a kid. And his family didn't also stress education, which was sort of interesting.
A lot of self-awareness, huh?
Yeah, he had a lot of self-awareness.
I think it's also interesting. It sounds like his father was a very prominent person. And I wonder, I don't know if you had a lot of recourse back in the day, but it almost sounds like a senator's son being kidnapped and then they were gone. I'm curious how much they rang the alarms, or if the dad was just like, he didn't want to follow in my footsteps, so it is what it is.
Yeah. I didn't find any of like why they didn't search for him, but also like...
But we don't know that they didn't search for him, right?
Yeah.
He might have just been kidnapped.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's harder to locate people way back then.
Yeah.
300 AD.
Yes.
Or no, at this point he was 16, so 390 something AD.
You can't throw an air tag on people.
Yeah, exactly. Not the same. But anyway, he returned. He went back to his homeland, and he realized, like, yeah, I'm pretty uneducated. I want to improve myself, and I want to serve the Lord. So then he, made it happen. He went to France, which, again, everything was kind of like, it's not the same borders, so I'm just telling you the geography, so you kind of have an idea.
It's different back in the day. I wonder while he was enslaved and trying to escape, he did like a pact. I'm curious if he maybe made a covenant with God. I think that is an archetype of a lot of these like bigger than life stories, right? You have the hero and they end up making a pact or some sort of deal where if they're granted what they want, they go through their journey, and then this is their, like, not penance, but their payback, essentially.
Reminds me of one of our early episodes, the Manda episode.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing because it does sound like in this case he prayed, God listened to his prayers, and he, was good to go, and had a turnaround of like, well, like, I am not knowledgeable, so now I'm going to dedicate like my life to this.
So he trained in France under Bishop Germanus, and in his own diary he confesses to feeling unworthy, like we mentioned, and then he returned ready to go. He was ready to preach and let people know the good word and gain more Catholics if possible, turn people away from paganism. And
so was he like a member of the church, or was he a clergyman, priest? What was his like role once he was in like France?
Yeah, he ended up becoming like some sort of like priest
Clergy.
or bishop or something. Yes. And so he's ready. He's like, put me in, coach. He's like, I actually want to go to Ireland. And they were like, whoa, really? And he's like, well, I learned so much of the language and the culture, and I want to go back and sort of like make peace.
I wonder if it's like a Stockholm Syndrome thing. It kind of reminds, well, I'm reading a book, so that's why it's like fresh in my mind, but I'm reading a book and they reference Patty Hearst. I don't know if you're familiar with the Patty Hearst case, but there's a famous eclectic person in the 40s, 50s. His name was William Randall Hearst. He has like the famous Hearst Castle, kind of near San Luis Obispo, actually. And he owned a conglomerate of newspapers. So he was like a big media mogul. Well, his daughter ended up being kidnapped. Funny enough, I think she was kidnapped by like Irish revolutionaries, now that I think about it.
Wow.
I could be wrong. We might have to fact check ourselves. But essentially, she was kidnapped, and they... I don't remember if they asked for a ransom, but she was kidnapped almost exactly like St. Patrick, now that I think about it. But essentially, she was like convinced for the cause. So she developed, it's like one of the more famous cases of Stockholm Syndrome, where eventually she sympathized with her captors, and then she got on board, and I think she was part of a few bank robberies or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just literally, as we're recording, I'm finding those parallels. I'll have to, again, fact check, but I do think it was like an Irish... like de facto group or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really famous case in its time. I think it was in the 70s. It was like a big deal.
Wow. So he went to Ireland or back to Ireland, I should say, in his new official capacity in around 432 AD. But he wasn't the first person to try to convert the masses in Ireland.
I wonder what the established religion was. It probably was just a little bit of everything.
It was a pagan and like druid things.
And cultural stuff for that time. Some of the stuff we've covered actually in our I always forget what they're called, but like the Mabano and the spring.
Oh, Mabon.
Yeah,
the Sabbath.
The Sabbaths, yeah. Because when we've done those, we've kind of seen the remnants of like those more, I don't say ancient, but like older civilizations. Right?
Mabono is our house spirit.
It is. Which one am I thinking?
You combine Mabon with Mabono, who is our house spirit. Anyway, that's a story for another time.
Yes.
Back to St. Patrick. So, yes, the first Christian reportedly to step foot in Ireland with this like basically mission work was Palladius in 431 AD.
That sounds very Roman.
Yeah. It's very Roman. Not as successful.
Yeah.
And then St. Patrick went, and he took a different approach. It wasn't as like, not necessarily Bible thumping. I don't know if they thumped Bibles back in the day, but it was very much like, you're wrong, I'm right, you need to listen to me. Patrick was the first to operate with soft power, is what I'm going to call it, in my opinion. His method was to work within existing Irish structures, not against them. So he engaged with the Druids, the kings, the local aristocracy, rather than bypassing them. So he was like, listen, I respect you, so I'm coming to you because you're someone of status in the culture. I just want you to hear me out.
Kind of reminds me of like modern day Mormons when they go on their missions. From my understanding, and I could be completely off, so I apologize to any Mormons out there. But from what I understand, they're supposed to be of service. So if somebody needs help with something, they'll just help you, like regardless if you hear them out or not. I'm sure they'll take the time to pitch their religion, but from my understanding, they're really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I
get all my information from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Which that starts the day after we're recording this.
Oh, nice. Yeah. We love that's one of our guilty pleasures.
So with his soft power, he decided to convert influential families first so that people wouldn't want to keep up with the Joneses. So that was a very smart move.
That is smart.
Yes.
Influence the influencers?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Influencing. OG influencing.
Hashtag the Catholic Church.
Yeah. What was unusual for this era is, again, the soft power and that there was no bloodshed.
Yeah.
So that's what makes St. Patrick.
It wasn't the Crusades, essentially.
Yeah. He ended up integrating, sort of like how we've mentioned in different Sabbath episodes, where it's like they ended up combining holidays with
appropriating, essentially.
The native people's culture. That's what he ended up doing, and was like one of the first folks to do that, and he was like super successful. So in politics, there's the hard power and soft power. So hard power is like, I'm gonna blow you up, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna put a tariff on you, very like outward threats. And then soft power is more, hey, I can establish a clinic, I can give you vaccines, I can give you technology, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. And that's basically what Patrick did. So OG soft power influencer.
He wasn't FDR. FDR was the one that said carry a big stick, right?
That was Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes.
Yeah. So he didn't necessarily want to, St. Patrick didn't necessarily want to eradicate the Druids. He wanted to absorb it and be like, hey, we're not so different.
Incorporate, essentially.
This is why you should be Catholic. Yes. But back then, it was just called Christianity. So there were like sacred wells, holy sites, seasonal festivities that he ended up saying, oh, what if it has this Christian twist? What if it's integrated?
Christianity light, essentially.
This is why Irish Christianity is so different and very like nature infused, and just a lot of like old Celtic culture, because that's how it was introduced and how it keeps being preserved to this day.
I wonder if that's how we got the amalgamation of the Celtic cross, where it has the like incredible intricate designs, but at the end of the day it's still a cross. Yeah,
I was going to talk about that. I'll just talk about that now. So yes, there's speculation that the Druids did some sort of sun worship with these intricate designs, and St. Patrick wanted to show unity by overlaying the cross and this like sun worshiping symbol. So that's how that came to be. What he did not do, so a lot of times when people talk about St. Patrick, they say that he drove out the snakes out of Ireland. And obviously when you're a little kid, you think like literal snakes, but snakes did not exist in Ireland, like was not a native species. That was just rhetoric to belittle pagans and say like he drove the pagans out, which is not true. There were pagans that either like did like a witchy version of Christianity, Catholicism, or just like practiced in secret, or didn't even convert at all and were like, I'm gonna keep doing me.
The demonic people, essentially.
Yeah.
Call back to our episode from last week on demonology. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend you do.
So he did convert a lot of Ireland. Some people say he converted all of Ireland, but obviously some traditions still exist. There's still not a lot of knowledge because the Druids did a lot of like oral teaching of like passing down. And then there was a lot of practice. Like you had to practice for years before you were like a Druid spiritual leader. So a lot of that did get lost, but not all of it.
Yeah.
So sort of like with Latino.
But I think, overall, the sentiment, if you think Ireland, me personally, if I think Ireland, I think green, I think drinking, and I think the Catholic Church.
Absolutely.
And there are those places where it's just like the Catholic Church is super big. Like you think...
Italy.
Italy. They have that saying, and I know I've said it on here, but Italy has two things: the Catholic Church and Ferrari.
Yeah.
And it's like they're so synonymous with their culture. So he did a good job. Whether there's remnants, and there's always going to be remnants of something, but for the most part, I think in today's day and age, you do associate them with the. You associate Catholicism with the Irish.
And he had the gift of gab to convert people without bloodshed. Wow.
You know what my favorite example is, and I don't think it's in our notes, and are going to talk about it, but the Boondock Saints.
Oh,
I love that movie, and you like it too, right?
I do.
Yes. Yeah. So they. I can give spoilers. I think this movie came out in like the 80s or 90s, but essentially it's these two brothers who want to take justice into their own hand, and they use a lot of like religious symbolism to go on like killing sprees, and basically they're the justice for God. But it's a really, really good movie. William Dafoe's in it, and his character is incredible.
Yes.
Highly recommend you watch that movie if you haven't seen it. It holds up really well.
Yeah.
Very violent though, so if you don't like violent movies, that's not the movie for you.
And it's like blasphemous. It's not like religious.
Yeah. It is blasphemous, and it is like an action. It's not comedy, but it has funny bits. But I do think on the root of it, it's not different. Like there's people who have killed, like the Crusades we talked about, in the name of a god, and so it's not justified, but it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. This reminds me when I was a teenager and I was like, why? But why? I wanted to know the why of everything. Mm-hmm. I did ask, like, if you're in a situation of kill or be killed.
Oh, yeah. You've talked about this.
Yeah.
Place.
Like, what is the answer? And Catholics have their own set of books. They have the Catholic Bible, and then they have the canon laws and like all of these, like, if you have a hyper specific situation, like look to this book.
Go to Appendix B.
Yeah, basically.
Subsection, whatever.
I think a lot of things nowadays are like out of reach, where it's like, I've fallen in love with AI. Can I get married in the church? Like, I don't think that's going to be in there, but a lot of things are in there. And yes, one of those was like, killing is justified in these situations. If it's kill or be killed, you need to kill the other person to preserve the gift that God gave you.
Self-preservation is the...
And you can only go to war if someone like invades like your soil. Like you can't go out and declare war on other people, but if people step on your turf, then it
has to be reactive, not proactive.
Yeah, and it has to be like defensive only. Obviously, if they're retreating, like you call it. But yeah, very interesting. So I am excited to talk about the shamrock, the color green. Where did all of these like visual decorative associations come from for St. Patrick? Right after this ad break. Today's episode is brought to you by us, Kythera Collective. If you've been vibing with the energy of the show, then you're going to love the Kythera Club over on Patreon. It's a space that I built for the cosmic, the curious, and the slightly chaotic. You know who you are. With 3 delicious tiers to choose from, we start with the chocolate level at $4 a month, which gains you access to weekly horoscopes and the exclusive Unhinged podcast, where I say things that don't make it to this main feed. It's sweet, it's spicy, and it's just for you. Next, we have the cafe level at $7 a month. This is where things really start to get cooking. You'll receive access to exclusive workshops, monthly virtual hangouts, and a private Discord community where you can chat directly with me and receive exclusive behind-the-scenes updates. It's magical, cozy, and a little unhinged in the best way. Finally, we have the tequila level. This is the VIP lounge. At $25 a month, you'll receive everything from the previous tiers, plus a personal 15-minute one-on-one session with myself or David each month, and discounts if you want to extend the session. It's a whole vibe and a powerful way to receive personalized guidance. So if you've been laughing along with us, crying or rage screaming in agreement, come hang out with us at the Kythera Club. Head over to patreon.com/JenCalo and choose your tier. If you want to sponsor an episode and advertise with us, go to our website, www.jencalo.com. All right, now back to the show. Welcome back. So where does the shamrock come from?
Yes.
That's the first thing that we will dive in.
Okay.
So a lot of folks say that the shamrock explains the Trinity. I said 4-leaf clover earlier. I meant to say 3-leaf clover.
Well, 4-leaf clover is the lucky one.
Yes, I know. But St. Patrick's Day is associated, well, with the 4 and the 3.
Okay.
If you're thinking about St. Patrick specifically.
Yes.
Because they said that he educated about the Trinity meaning 3, with the 3-leaf clover, and that's a cute story, but it's probably not correct. So the first mention of St. Patrick, and again, we have a lot of his confessions, his diaries,
His self-reporting,
his
the
self-reporting.
first-hand accounts.
Yes, and they do not mention the shamrock. The first time the shamrock and St. Patrick are mentioned is a story from the 1700s, which is also like 1,200 years after he passed. So,
I'm going to backtrack just a bit, and if you're going to touch on it, let me know. But I am curious, are you touching on how he became a saint?
no, we will also get to
Okay,
that.
perfect.
But
Yeah.
I'm talking about just the imagery right now.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we don't skip over that.
Yeah. No, we will definitely talk about it. So a lot of folks, have that misconception, but it fits his style because he was very...
His brand?
His brand,
Yes.
yes. Because the Druids were very nature loving and oriented, so he did incorporate a lot of like Druid nature things, but the shamrock was not one of them per his accounts. But it stuck because it's a cool looking symbol and it does make sense. The Celtic cross, so we talked about that. The
Yes.
intricate designs are probably some sort of like sun worshipping symbol that he overlaid onto Christian iconography to show unity, and it was an easier sell, like, oh, that makes sense, I grew up with that, that's familiar, so yeah, I can buy this. It represents the kind of synthesis that St. Patrick is known for, which is like the melding of two cultures. So the Celtic cross is not entirely Christian and not entirely pagan. It's a fusion of a third thing.
Joking, not joking, he was like a marketing genius, wasn't he? It seems like he understood how to win over the people without having that friction, because a lot of, like you said, this iconography is very rooted within the culture. So he did either his homework, or unfortunately in this case when he was enslaved, he absorbed the culture, which I think is also interesting because, like you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, he was a shepherd and he was alone, so he must have been very observant, and I'm sure the people that he had association with, in this case, were like pirates and probably slave traders. It wasn't the majority of like the Irish society, so at some point he absorbed it.
You know what's interesting? There are some accounts that his slave owner may have been like a Druid holy man.
So maybe he kind of learned like through him.
Because the pirates can like kidnap you and then give you to somebody.
No, correct. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I feel like if you're running in those circles, you're not going to be exposed to the culture, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's whole underworlds, essentially.
But religion exists from the top down. Like, poor people are Christian. Poor working class people could have also been Druid. Like, it was just the culture of the location.
Yeah,
So,
no, you're right.
yeah. And then St. Patrick's breastplate, or the lorica of St. Patrick, is not really his breastplate, but it's like a thick, basically Celtic cross with a prayer on it. It's a prayer or hymn attributed to St. Patrick. It could be genuinely as old as him. The origins are unknown, but yeah, it could be associated with him shortly after he became a saint. Supposedly, it invokes Christ in every direction, above, below, left, right, and in every person that, says it and which the prayer encounters. So it's very pagan, because pagans also do the welcoming all the directions. So that's very interesting.
And also more like enchantments as well.
Yeah.
I guess we have prayer and we have the I don't know how you say it in English, but in Spanish is persignándote, which is like giving yourself the sign of the cross.
Blessing yourself, get the sign of the cross.
Yeah.
Yes. And then also, so a lot of folks think that maybe March 17th was his birthday, but it's his feast day because that's when he died.
Oh, okay.
We don't really know when his birthday is. Yes. So interestingly, how is he a saint?
Yes.
So if you go back to our millennial saint episode, you'll hear all of the steps.
The requirements for sainthood.
Yes. Saint Patrick is so old that those steps weren't a thing yet. So the really old saints from 200, 300 AD.
We've come full circle because in the episode of Saint Carlo Acunte, the rules were changed to incorporate him, and in Saint Patrick, the rules didn't exist. So we've sandwiched the saints on this podcast.
Yes. So back then, saints were either martyrs, people that died for the cause, or people that were extremely holy. And the fact that he was able to convert Ireland, a lot of Ireland, in such a short amount of time with no bloodshed, the church was like, oh yeah, we're going to make you a saint.
Would you want to be a saint?
No, just because, I don't know. I don't want people to take my story and twist it for their purposes, which is what happened to a lot of folks. Like, when did we talk about Saint Bridget? When we talked about in bulk. Yes. So Saint Bridget, I think, is an example of how you can twist somebody's story to fit your narrative. Well, we kind of see something less egregious with St. Patrick we'll talk about the green. We already talked about the shamrock, things like that. So yeah, I wouldn't want someone to use my story for their own gain or as a tool of oppression.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yes.
You want to be a saint?
I think I don't want to, but I would take it. Just the lore. I think for the opposite reasons that you do. I want the fucking drama. I want the cheese. I would love to be that, dramatic, the retelling, that Netflix documentary where they're interviewing all the people that knew the person.
That's funny.
Yeah, I would roam. I mean, I'm dead, so my legacy to me doesn't really matter. So I think it would be funny. And also it'd be funny if people prayed to me.
So this is something interesting with the saints. I don't know. You did slightly grow up Catholic. If you also got the same confusion, but growing up I was also always told pray to the saints for them to do something for you, but according to the actual Catholic rules, you pray to the saints to pray to God or Jesus for them to do something for you. It's just getting a person to be your wingman, basically, are what the saints are. But growing up, it was always have the Virgin, the saints do something for you, when it's really
and I think the confusion comes in culturally. You pray directly to the saints, but officially you pray to the saints for God.
Yeah. But I think just with shorthand, it's just pray to them, and it's not pray to them so they tell Jesus to do this for you. So a lot of times I see a lot of people sort of worshiping saints or interacting with saints as if they're the ones doing it for them, which is kind of interesting. And it's well, I'm thanking you for being my wingman. And it's well, that's the same thing as thanking them. I don't know.
For doing it. No, I know what you mean. But yes, I think it'd be cool. And the offerings, that'd be sick.
You would get a feast day.
Yeah, I would get a feast day. I'd get offerings.
People would name their kids after you.
Yeah, they'd put Pokemon cards as an offering. That'd be great. I would embrace it personally, but
I think you'd be the patron saint of joy and childhood whimsy.
Basically, do it for the gram
and swimming.
Yes, that would be my reason behind it.
Yes. So he became, like, there were other saints like Saint Bridget and Columba. They're very significant in Irish history, but his outsider turned like insider, mascot, cheerleader, like he died Irish basically. Like, so they just love that like underdog story. So that's probably why he's really, really revered.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So this holiday, how did we get here? So like I said, March 17th, he died. And his feast day began in the 9th century. So, you know, a few hundred years after he died, but, you know, they loved him throughout the whole time. Interestingly, it fell during Lent. So,
yeah, it did.
yeah. So interestingly, sort of like how I mentioned with my friend who is
Just a friend. Yeah.
a friend who is of Irish descent. On St. Patrick's Day, the restrictions are lifted.
Yes.
So you can indulge in whatever you gave up, which is very fascinating.
And that's probably more of a cultural thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not official by the Catholic Church. I'm sure they want you to stick to your Lent instead of having the day off.
Yeah, it's definitely a cultural thing. So in Ireland, for most of history, this was like a quiet religious moment. But then in America, it became a big celebration of Irish identity, survival, visibility, especially post-famine when there were a lot of Irish immigrants that were coming to America.
It's basically like Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo is the Battle of Puebla, and it's big in Puebla, but it's not big in Mexico. It might be big in Mexico now because of like the appropriation, but that's not something that's really celebrated.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. The first documented St. Patrick's Day parade on American soil, and by America we mean modern day United States of America, was on March 17th, 1601, which is now
No
St.
shit. 1601?
Before the United States was a thing in 1774.
Oh, okay. So then I think by that point now that is ingrained and like it is part of our culture. Now. It's not just oh, I did not know that.
On the East Coast, St. Patrick's Day is huge.
Yeah, and Boston and all that. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's super interesting.
So back then, Florida was a Spanish colony, and there was an Irish, I don't remember his title, like Viscount or something, that was like, I want to celebrate it. And so they did.
Because he saw the people up north celebrating it, he's like, that looks interesting. Because a Spanish wouldn't celebrate a saint from Ireland. A Spaniard wouldn't celebrate a saint from Ireland.
So for some reason, there was an Irishman in this Spanish colony that had some...
Oh, he was... Okay, got it. I thought you meant it was a Spanish colony, but there was an Irishman. Okay, I thought he was Spanish. Never mind.
Well, I mean, back then, a lot of people got married and had, like, treaties between nations and stuff, so I wonder if that was his relation to the Spanish colony.
Maybe he had some, like, Irish roots or something.
Well, he
was Irish. Maybe he had
Irish.
some roots to the Spanish colony.
Yes. And he was like, I want to observe St. Patrick's Day here. And again, it wasn't like the first parade with like corporate sponsors and beer. Like it was just an observation of St. Patrick's Day, like a feast day on what is now United States soil.
I think I'm like almost 100% sure, but don't quote me on this. Chicago's a city where they turn the river green. Have you seen that?
Yes. I have it later in my notes.
We can talk about
yes, Chicago does. Yes. But then what was a little bit more of like a parade, if you will, happened in Boston in 1737.
Of course it did.
And it was organized by a charitable Irish society. It was intended as a sober, charitable gathering for Irish immigrants. It was not a party. But the first like parade that was a little more jolly happened in New York City in 1762. So a little bit after, a little bit before 1774. And these were Irish soldiers serving in the British Army that marched through Lower Manhattan. And yeah, this was 14 years before American independence. So
interesting.
This has been around for a long time.
And there was a lot of turmoil too. There's a movie called Gangs of New York that I think it's around the time of like early founding or pre-founding of the Americas, where it's essentially the 5 boroughs of New York. They're like at war, and there's like gang leaders. And I think one of the like rivals is like Irish, and they have like their own Irish like sect or something. Have you seen that movie? It's with Daniel Day-Lewis. It's a really, really good movie. It's like Daniel Day-Lewis and Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, we gotta watch it.
We gotta watch it.
Also a very gory movie, like super duper gory.
Oh Lord.
Yes.
And then St. Patrick's Day used to be like associated with blue, not green.
Oh.
So St. Patrick's blue was sort of the brand. Yes. It appeared on old Irish symbols, and the green came later. The green was born of the Irish, landscape movement, the shamrock, the nationalist movement, if you will.
Yeah.
So wearing green became a political statement before it became a party uniform.
I don't know if the Boston Celtics, the basketball team, have ever moved, but they're called the Boston Celtics, and their mascot is like, I don't know what he is, but he's like Irish, I think.
Yeah, it's not a leprechaun, right?
No, it's not a leprechaun. No.
But yes. So, yes, how does the world celebrate St. Patrick's Day now? Chicago does dye the river green. The Sydney Opera House lights up green. And then Tokyo holds some parades. We have parades. We have St. Patrick's Day stuff. San Luis Obispo had St. Patrick's Day riots, right?
No, that's
Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Mardi Gras, sorry. Wrong holiday. But I'm sure San Luis Obispo goes hard because of Cal Poly.
That's true, yes.
Yes. So yeah, very interesting cultural export. But was he a holy man, or was he more of a PR skilled operator? I think it could be both. His knowledge of Ireland made him effective in ways that a Roman missionary normally couldn't be. So he really used like his hardship to become a strength, and that's how he was able to use all this soft power.
Yeah.
But yeah, the snake allegory, it just shows how people view pagans. Very hurtful, like, y'all are snakes, which is crazy. And then there is a conspiracy theory that he may have fled to Ireland voluntarily to escape having to do the family business of being a Roman tax collector. And the reason why is because tax collectors were personally liable for any shortfalls, and they had to pay out of their own pocket. And the Roman Empire was collapsing. So the job was dangerous and potentially financially ruinous. And he already saw like, the Roman Empire is not going to last.
They're not playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some people, further conspiracy theory, think that his enslaved status was maybe not so much enslaved, but became enslaver eventually. Yeah.
So he was an enslaver.
The conspiracy theory says.
Yeah.
Potentially, because he claimed to end up he ended up being a semi-wealthy man, but Ireland...
But that could also come with all the power he,
maybe.
The pipeline isn't that difficult to follow, right?
Yeah. So there are a few conspiracy theories.
And I'm sure he had sponsors. Once the Catholic Church probably saw what he was doing, they're like, oh shit, this guy has momentum. Let's send him money.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So Irish monks of the pagan culture preserve some classical texts. But again, Druid oral tradition was mainly oral. So a lot of it did vanish. But yeah, what was preserved is because of St. Patrick's soft power.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, St. Patrick, the man, the myth, the legend.
That's incredible. We have a few St. Patrick's Day stories, not much. The only memorable one I can remember is when I was in college, my roommates and I woke up one day and we're like, oh, it's St. Patrick's. So we had a bunch of champagne, I think. No, we didn't have champagne. We had, what the hell did we have? We had Jameson at home. But then we went to the bar because I was DJing that night, and they had unlimited or bottomless mimosas. So we got fucked up on mimosas that day. And to me, that's the most memorable one. And then there's another anecdote because I always have to tie it back to King of the Hill. But there is an episode where Peggy is hired as a cheerleading coach, and she's going through. and like finding creative ways to destroy the mascots of the other team.
Oh, that's right.
And one of the mascots is the Fighting Irish. So unbeknownst to her, she has her son Bobby come out from a pot of gold, and he's like drunk. So it's like playing to the archetypes of like the drunken Irish. And he has the cheerleaders beat him up with the shillelaghs, and it creates this whole like havoc where like the local Irish society shows up and like boycotts. It's a great episode. I always have to plug King of the Hill.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
And then lastly, I had a roommate who was an extra in an episode of How I Met Your Mother. And it was the episode where they're doing the St. Patrick's Day party and they're at a club. And I saw him and I was like, oh my gosh, that's my roommate. So every time I rewatch How I Met Your Mother, I always like point him out. So
that's cute.
Yeah, he was interesting.
All right, that's St. Patrick in a nutshell.
Yeah. Have you ever had any St. Patrick's Day experiences?
I was just like, ew, don't touch me.
What about the pinching? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was like, ew, don't touch me. Yeah. It was just, I don't know, it was a little kid thing of like always finding a way to hurt each other.
Yeah.
Like punch buggies, pinching.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's a great episode. I actually learned a lot. I didn't realize how ingrained St. Patrick's Day is in the country. So that's really cool to know. Now I see it more as a historical practice as opposed to like just like a fun traditional practice. Mm-hmm. It does look like we have some questions though.
Yeah, or more so we have a comment.
Yes.
Yeah. From Jamie. Jamie's Reading Rainbow. Get your Aura Red. Get your pet's Aura Red with her at Jamie Lynn SQ on Instagram. So this is about the Fibonacci episode. So good. I learned so much in this episode. Did you know that whales make the same bubble sequence with the golden ratio to trap their prey, and we don't know why? And I can't wait to see the birth of Venus dress.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was really good. Yeah. I did not know that, but literally after we finished recording that episode, I was personally trying to find like the Fibonacci sequence anywhere I could see it in nature, and it's been a fun little like treasure hunt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then some announcements. So the day that this episode airs, I'm going to say tonight. So tonight there is a moon mapping workshop through Patreon. Come learn via Zoom all of the phases of the moon and how you can use it to manifest, because by this point, March 18th, we will be outside of eclipse season. Yay!
These are really good workshops. It is, for our Patreon, but we just streamlined it. So if you want to do them, it's definitely a very affordable workshop. You could do it from the comfort of your home. Sign up for a month, join the workshop, check out our club, and learn a lot. Jen really, really takes the time to put these together for the community. And if you're part of the community, make sure to join. It's good community also. You're able to talk to each other, kind of check in on each other. I haven't attended them in a while because it went way beyond my what I do. But if we have another event or something like that, I think I'll come back and join them as well. But I highly recommend you do.
The workshop, you can access it for $7 a month, or for $25, you get the workshop, weekly horoscopes, and also a 15-minute session with me. So $25 is such a steal. And then also we have our Lucky Charms workshop, collaboration with myself and Luna. Come learn about manifesting, making intentional jewelry, choosing a bracelet that is gold or silver, and then attaching 5 charms that really you feel describe and will invoke the luck that you are trying to bring. And then you'll have a mini reading with me, and I will also charge it for you, and you'll get a guide, a crystal, and an incense so that you can do some upkeep on your lucky bracelet at home.
Really good.
Yeah, $40 a person. Yeah.
That's not bad. Do you like Lucky Charm cereals?
I did as a kid. Yeah.
Do you like just the marshmallows, or do you like the non-flavored part?
I like it all in harmony.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, people obsess over the marshmallows. There's companies who just sell the marshmallow. That's too much.
Too
right?
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the harmony.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good episode. If people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky at Jen Kahlo, or Facebook, Kythera Collective LLC, or our website, jenkahlo.com. And remember, if you like the show, rate it 5 stars and share it with a friend that might be interested in knowing about St. Patrick.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Be safe out there if you do celebrate St. Patrick's. drink responsibly, and have a good time.
Remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed Being signing off.
Bye.
Bye.